yesterday, we kicked off the show with the Police Minister, Mark Mitchell, discussing the boy racer blitz over the long weekend, the new harsher penalties for youth offenders, including the soon-to-be-opened military-style academy, or, the opposition like to call them boot camps, as well as more boots on the ground, more police patrolling. And while that is what Mark wants to see, more police patrols, it is good, them being visible. Will it deter crime? Today I want to start again with crime, but this is crime that in some cases is solved by the community. Remember Neighbourhood Watch? It was huge when I was growing up. We had stickers on our houses, stickers on lampposts in neighbourhoods. To be honest, I actually have no idea what Neighbourhood Watch was doing, and indeed was our family part of it. I do not know. Maybe it was just noisy neighbours with lots of twitchy curtains. But back then, we also used to, not lock our doors at night. Do you remember that? And sometimes we'd forget to take the keys out of our cars in the driveway, and lo and behold, your car was there in the morning. So nowadays, we have not so much Neighbourhood Watch like the old days. We've got community groups. And like everything, it's gone onto the internet. Facebook groups with like-minded people that like to talk about and exchange all sorts of information. Now, one such group is the Hutt Security Noticeboard, boasting, I think, just over 25,000 members. Its creator is Jonathan Gilbert, and he joins me now. Jonathan, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Am I right? 25,000, something like that, eh?
Yeah, I think we just hit 25,000 over the weekend, I think it was.
Excellent.
4 days before. Yeah.
Do you remember, I don't know your age, Jonathan. Do you remember Neighbourhood Watch?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember there being a bunch of homeowners that would talk to each other and call themselves in a Neighbourhood Watch group.
Yeah.
And then if anything ever went wrong, it was always, we'll talk to Neighbourhood Watch.
Yeah, I think it was just an excuse for the men to get together in the neighbourhood and have a drink away from their wives, to be honest. So, Jonathan, let's go. Yeah, I think it was. Let's just quickly go back to the beginning. What prompted you to start the Hutt Valley Security Noticeboard, and what happens on it?
So, initially, I got robbed. It wasn't the first time I've been robbed in the Hutt.
Your house? In your house or your car?
Yeah, my house. I was living in a granny flat type thing, and I'd gone out for 20 minutes with my daughter to go and pick something up that she wanted from somewhere. And when we got back, the door was ajar, and all of my main good electronics was all missing, and a couple of client machines were missing, and I had nothing to go with. There was no sort of evidence there. I didn't have cameras at the time, it was pretty lost as to what to do. So pretty much from there, I went and talked to all my neighbours. Nobody had any footage of our property, but one neighbour across the street said that she'd seen a silver car with a very flat spoiler reverse out of the driveway, and it just turned out after talking to one of my flatmates that one of my flatmates had seen somebody or talked to somebody on the property just as he was leaving, and he mentioned the fact that nobody else was home. And so he left. The car stayed there. The person took everything and then disappeared. I managed to get some information from a bunch of businesses around the area just to confirm that he didn't go down certain areas. And then about 2 weeks later, I got footage from one location that was having problems with their cameras, but did capture it. And I found the car that left the property, and eventually found out everything else about the person. But unfortunately, because there was no footage of him actually taking the items off the property, the police could do nothing. And so I was left with everything missing. That was that. And nowhere to go from there. So, it was that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, pretty much. At that point, I decided that if anything's going to get any better in the Hutt Valley, at least, because that's where I was, the only way that was going to work is if all the people that had footage and were able to look out the windows and do things were able to communicate with each other. And the only way that I saw that happening was to have a community group And so, I started that with the intention of it being targeted towards dairy owners and bottle stores and places that were frequently being robbed and attacked in one way, shape or form. Because I'm not sure exactly of which one it was at the time, but there were a number of dairies that were consistently being robbed and with weapons. And I was providing CCTV for a bunch of them.
Okay.
And then it got to a point where I was giving them CCTV cameras and equipment and consistently pulling footage from them for them. And then I think at the same time, Chris Bishop was trying to push out a fog cannon thing into all the dairies.
Yeah.
And I had I don't like fog cannons because I watched one incident where somebody came into the dairy, got around the back of the counter, and as he went to push it, this person had a knife to his throat. And just fortunately, this person ran out as soon as the smoke started. But if there'd been any sort of delay, that person would have been blind with a knife to the dairy owner's throat. And that, to me, is a very, very dangerous situation. Because
can I just ask you though, Jonathan, about the Noticeboard, the Hutt Valley one? Because you got a lot of people on it, 25,000. Yep. What can and can't you post? Because I could imagine if people just go willy nilly. I mean, what about defamation? If you're going to post pictures of people,
we've been down that track many times. So basically, the ruling is if you've got absolute evidence of something happening, then it can be posted because there's no denying that it took place. But you have to have that evidence. So it has to be footage of this person doing this particular act. You can't just take footage of somebody. You can't take footage of somebody walking down the street and say, this person robbed my house, find this person, crucify this person, destroy this person. And that absolutely would be defamation. But if you've got footage of them breaking a window on the car, holding the goods as they leave the property, anything that cannot be disputed, then absolutely it can be plastered everywhere because
do you give it to the police, Jonathan?
Absolutely.
Is that what happens next?
Right. Pretty much everything that we get goes through the police. We have a number of police officers that are actually part of the group and see everything that comes across it. There's many council members that are part of the group as well, and they all see it. Basically, the main thing that we try and do is we get the file reference numbers for the police so that we can upload whatever footage that we have. And then in other cases, other people will have access to that so they can upload it. But for the most part, the aim is to get the community aware of what's happening so that those with CCTV have the opportunity to help out their neighbours.
Gotcha.
Ultimately, that's what it's about.